Hey, thanks for downloading the show. Welcome. It's Garden Fork Radio. I'm here in Brooklyn. I'm here with my friend Rich. If this is your first time, Garden Fork is a very eclectic DIY how-to show. We're going to go kind of off in the left field today. But welcome. Thanks for coming. If you're a regular person here, you might remember my friend Rich here, who is what I call the high performance coach. I see him mostly on Instagram, posting kind of positive things. And I emailed him a while ago and I said, hey, why don't you be on the show? And thanks to Rich making me pick a date, we're all here. So welcome, sir.
Eric, thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me on, and hi to everybody.
We're going to actually touch on my inability to follow through on things, but the podcast would be much more successful if I could just schedule things. So, but Rich was persistent and he's like, look, dude, when are we doing this? So, what I wanted to talk to Rich about, and if you all want to come along for the ride, please do, is first of all, he helps people improve themselves, business-wise, I think, 12 years now. And Rich has been posting these, quotes on Instagram, which I really like. And then we were kind of going to get into the head of Eric and trying to help me be better at doing more stuff. So, but full disclosure, I got a growler of beer from the microbrewery that just opened up in my town upstate. It's called the Norbrook Brewery. It's between Norfolk and Colbert, Connecticut, and I am having a beer. So...
I'm drinking lemonade, so I'm all set.
So what started you with the posting of the quotes on Instagram?
Well, it was kind of interesting. I try to post a lot of different things. Like, I'm trying to promote my business and also promote a number of things that I'm doing. And then I had a friend that read a book by a Japanese author named Osho. And I loved it. It was "Life begins where fear ends." And it was such a powerful quote. And then I said, I'm just going to keep it white and I'm just going to post it on Instagram. And I started getting tons of followers and views of each of my Instagrams. So I just started taking really short quotes and putting them up on Instagram. And I found that people like them and they comment back to me that they, this is a great quote. So the more that I could spread happiness out in the world, the more that I like to do it. So I'm a people pleaser. So I just keep doing it.
I kind of, it's the same way. I do stuff on Garden Fork and I'm like, sometimes I do a video and I'm like, well, it wasn't very good. And then someone just will comment or message me or something. And it's like life-changing for them. And I'm like, all I did was drill into concrete, But I kind of enabled them to realize that they could do it too. And maybe that's called imposter syndrome. I don't know. But I just was like, well, it was, I wasn't very good at that. But then someone turns around and goes, wow, I like what you do. So that's kind of what keeps me going. So,
yeah, if here's how I explain it. I watch a number of videos on YouTube and I listen to podcasts all the time, and I listen to Garden Fork all the time. I watch you do things. I think the number one thing that people appreciate that they don't get on TV and in other places is authenticity. Everything's reality TV. It's all scripted. It's all planned out. The drama's built in. And it's fun to watch somebody who's being authentic on the camera, where they screw up, where they make a mistake, they don't measure it right, or something happens that they don't understand. I love that sort of thing because people appreciate truthfulness and authenticity. And I think that's what attracts people to podcasts. That's what, like, I listen to Joe Rogan. He has 3-hour interviews with mushroom scientists. Yeah. And I listen to all 3 hours, and I tell people about that, and they go, "Are you insane?" I go, "You have to listen to this podcast. It'll change your life." And so it's just, I think it's sorely lacking that we find in media today, and people like you, Eric, are just performing an incredible service.
And that's why you're on the podcast, Rich. Everyone, if you just say things like that, you can be on the show. So No, cool. That's flattering. I mean, so to circle back to the quotes you're doing,
Sure.
are they things that you've kind of run across just in life, or are you researching them, or do they pop up in your brain, or?
Well, what happens usually, it's something that I'm running into myself with my business, or I find it's a common thread with a lot of my clients that I work with. On average, I work with about 20 to 25 clients, and I talk to them on a weekly basis. And there are certain themes that come out, and I'll come up with one like procrastination or another one on motivation. And so then I'll start, Googling on the web for quotes about that. And then one that a quote that resonates with me, I'll go, ooh, that's a cool one. I like that one. Because I tend to look for quotes that are edgy, clever, or sharp-witted. And so I'll try and put them up there. Like I put one up today saying, sometimes I have to remind myself that I don't have to do what everyone else is doing. And that's something that I end up telling my clients all the time. Just because they're doing it doesn't mean that you have to do it. And it's a great quote.
Yeah, that's kind of like, you have to make yourself happy first before you can help everybody else. It's
Absolutely.
like, yeah, I always felt like I needed to do what everyone else is doing. And then when I do my own thing, I get stared at sometimes, but it's fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like I talk into my phone. I go on the sidewalk here in Brooklyn. Like for a new video I'm doing, I'm fixing my roof. And I talked about how people wonder why I live in Brooklyn, why I live in New York City during the week. And it's because when I need something, I can literally grab my hand truck. I walked 5 blocks to the roofing supply warehouse and got the roofing supplies without having to get in my car. And so I had my phone and I was videoing me with my hand truck talking in, and people are like, what are you doing there? So, yeah. How's that for tangent?
It's fun though. It's fun. It's the more that we can amaze people with our abilities, the more fun I think life is. I'm always amazed, especially when I go into the city and see all the great people doing really cool things that I've never expected.
What I do like now is that because of the internet, even though a lot of times I think the internet's a very scary place, is that you can do what I'm doing anywhere now. And I see this happening in smaller towns now. Like I talked before, I went to Lancaster, Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago, and I fell in love with the town because it was like a mini Brooklyn.
Yes.
There was a big university there, so there's a magnet there. But there was this, I think it's the United States' oldest farmers market there. There are these upstart restaurants. Of course, there's a very coffee shop there, but the people in there were very nice. I think it's called Passport Coffee. I was recognized in the coffee shop, so that was nice. But yeah, so you can be yourself, and you don't have to be in New York City, everyone. So besides, the rents here are kind of high. So
Absolutely.
all right, so I want to go over some of your quotes here, okay?
Sure.
If you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the major problems in getting started with anything that you're trying to do. Most people are afraid of failure. They're afraid of going down a path in the woods and realizing it's the wrong path. And I usually tell people, you'll know part of the way down the path that it's the wrong path. And then you could turn around and go down your new path. And it's a learning opportunity. Don't get down on yourself. And what happens is most people just don't do anything. They have a problem getting started because they're not focusing on just doing something, taking an action, taking the first step, calling the person, spending some money and trying something out, trying a vendor out. You need to have your website redone. Try a vendor. Oh, I'm afraid to choose which one to choose. They might not be the right person. Well, do some research, but then make the decision and go down rather than doing nothing. And I have that problem with a lot of businesses that haven't changed their website in 10 years because they're afraid of spending the money and the time and the effort to redo their website. I go, it's a lot easier now than it was 10 years ago. So getting started is tough. You have to figure out what is going to be your fuel that's going to fire you up. And that's a big thing that I talk to my clients about. What's your fuel that kicks off? What's the motivator that might get the gasoline lit? What time of day are you better? Are you better in the morning? Are you better in the afternoon? Are you better in the evening? I tell my kids, I hate it when they come to me with a homework problem at 9:30 at night. I go, I want to go to bed. I'm tired. I said, I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I said, come to me at 6 in the evening and I'll answer that math question. But at 9:30 at night, I'm like, oh. So find the right time of day that will energize you. Most people are trying to do new things or kicking off things at the wrong time of the day. And then also environment plays a major part. Where you do things. Sometimes, as you were talking, Eric, it's easy for us to work at home now if we have a home-based business.
Yeah.
It's also easy while you're trying to do something new or hard in your home-based business to go wash the dishes or put on a load of clothes or go mow the lawn.
Because that's easier.
That's so much easier. And we have to do it. Somebody's got to wash the dishes. And I tell people, get out, go to a Starbucks, a coffee house, go to the library, which are incredible resources nowadays. They're not just books anymore. They have offices that you can reserve, and you could do work there. I always try to get myself into a new environment, and suddenly the fear goes away, and you get this fuel that'll fire you to start something new, to get started.
All right. I have another one. It always seems impossible until it's done, which is by Nelson Mandela.
Yeah. And that's you'll amaze yourself by what you can do in your life if you just start doing it and you realize, oh my gosh, this isn't as hard as I thought it would be. And once it's done, people are looking at you. Back in 2009, I went to a talk at the National Speakers Association. This woman was talking about how to write your own blog. Now, I just had a new rewrite of my website, and I had to write my own blog posts. And I was like taking quotes from magazines and stuff. I didn't know how to write.
Yeah.
And she just said, look, just write anything. It doesn't need to be long. And I started. To this day, I have 750 articles on my website. And people are like, how many? I go, 750. And they go, where do you have time to write these things? I go, I just write. And that seems impossible nowadays. But it was easy. It was just one step. It was 750 small steps. And
yeah,
so,
which is nothing compared to Nelson Mandela, who was cracking rocks in a prison on an island off of South Africa and then became president of the country,
Absolutely. He knew he had a vision, and it was just sheer persistence and fortitude to help him get through it and believe.
And incredibly humble at the same time.
Absolutely.
There are these billboards on the highways up in Connecticut. Maybe you've seen them. Is it called Keep It Good or Pay It Forward? They have like Nelson Mandela and a quote, and the one I see now is Malalia, the young Pakistani girl. I think she's from Pakistan or Bangladesh, that was shot in the head in the school bus because she's a girl going to school.
Yes.
I'll figure it out and I'll link to it in the podcast notes here. But it's kind of along the same lines as yours, and you're like, I mean, their kind of mantra is all these people that are successful started where you all are starting as well. We all start. Very few of us start with, what's that called? The golden plate. What's it with the golden? I don't know. With some money,
Yeah, I always tell people, when you look at successful people, they were in the right place at the right time with the right people, but they worked really hard to get there. And if you look at anybody successful, they've put in a ton of hard work. I know you mentioned in the email to me Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, This guy, he works hard. I mean, everybody's looking for that special pill to take to be successful or to lose weight or to look beautiful. And there are no pills. You're going to have to be determined, persistent, and really work hard at what you want to do before it becomes a success. And you have to be smart and put yourself in front of the right people and be brave. And that's another thing that I talk about is that say you're looking for a new job. It's like, don't keep applying online. Find a company that you want to work for and get in front of the hiring manager that would hire you and talk to them. He or she doesn't want to talk to me. Yeah, they do. They're always hiring people. So you have to be brave.
Yeah, the other one I like here, which is a quote from the Buddha, is the trouble is you think you have time.
Oh, yeah. I think I was in a bad place. Maybe it was Monday morning when I came up with that one. But yeah, I saw that and I thought it catches you off guard because you're like, oh, Buddha, it's going to be a nice quote. And it's like, you think you have time, and that's the main reason of procrastination. Oh, I could do it tomorrow. No, do it now. Have fun now. Spend time with your family now, rather than putting it off.
Do you shop on Amazon? I shop locally and also on Amazon and other online stores. If I need something very specific, like seat covers for the new used car we just bought, I will go online and sometimes use Amazon. And Garden Fork happens to have a dedicated shopping page on the Amazon site now, which is very cool. It is an affiliate linked page. We do get a finder's fee for anything that you buy when you start shopping from that page. But I list there interesting items that I think are worthy of the Garden Fork DIY person. It's amazon.com/shop/gardenfork. If you would start your Amazon shopping experience, no matter what you're looking for on Amazon, start it at Garden Fork, and that would be great. It's amazon.com/shop/gardenfork. That's amazon.com/shop/gardenfork. All right, well, this segues into the second part, which we're going to go inside Eric's head. And I've talked about this before, but I have I have tons of ideas. I always want to make a video about something or a blog post or to share something. And then I buy all the equipment. I have all the supplies. It's all ready. There's literally stuff in my basement to build a plywood boat. There's stuff down there to build these picture frames I want to make. Again and again like this, where I have all the supplies, I'm ready to go, and then I can't get started. And I just kind of feel like I'm stuck in glue or something. And it's this internal, I don't know what to call it, a battle, but I'm just trying. And a lot of times I fail and I don't follow through. And then all of a sudden something chemical clicks in my brain. Like this afternoon, I fixed my roof. Well, I had to cut a roof vent off. I'm making a video about it. And then I went down and started to do a pork roast Instant Pot video with 15 minutes before we had to start this podcast. So all of a sudden, I'm going at 110%. But a majority of the time, I just feel like glue. I feel like I'm drowning in glue.
Yes. Well, when you're
what's wrong, Rich?
Okay. Well, first of all, look at when you're drowning in glue, when you're not working at 110%, look at what are the behaviors that you are doing? What are the things? Is it surfing the web? Is it watching TV?
Eating chocolate.
Eating chocolate. Just sitting all day and opening up little packets of Lindt chocolate.
Maybe not little.
Not little. But find out what behaviors you are doing in place of that 110% industrious Eric. And because we're almost like two-faced. We have industrious Eric and we have lazy Eric, or procrastinate Eric. We have both of those. It's a spectrum. Sometimes we're industrious all the time, and sometimes we're lazy all the time. But we travel on this spectrum. And so what I want you to do is better understand that personality. What makes you feel that way? It could be, like you said, chemical, which was interesting. It could be what you're eating. It could be your body energy, how much you're working out, or how healthy you are. Or it could be, again, getting back to the environment. Are you making your imagination claustrophobic with your environment? And because you look around, you go, oh, I got to pay bills, I got to wash the dishes, I got to do that, I got to do that. Suddenly you almost get into a funk. And then it's like, I don't even feel like making picture frames. That's the last thing I feel like doing.
The hard part for me is that I follow Gary Vaynerchuk on Instagram. And actually, Gary has been on Garden Fork. We did a wine tasting video probably 10 years ago.
Wow.
And he's a great guy. And he's constantly being positive. One of his recent favorite quotes that I like that I reshared on Instagram is, yes, you have the time. You just picked something else. Yep. You know, and he is like nonstop, 110%. He's sharing and being very successful. And I'm like, if I could just have some of that. I think part of it's hardwired. I think part of it is personality based. I don't know if that's the right word, but not all of us. I don't think all of us can be like Gary Vaynerchuk, but I'd like to be more like him.
Absolutely. I mean, you want to. It might be he's putting himself in certain situations where he has to do it, or he has people that are. It's nice to have a boss. That's the other thing that I
don't have one.
Neither do I. And so our clients are our boss or something else. And there isn't a boss looking over your shoulder going, are you going to get me that Penske report soon? And they just, it was nice when I worked in corporate for 20 years to have that. It also was not so good sometimes when you had bad bosses. But when you don't have a boss, you don't have someone looking over your shoulder. So we tend to become a little child sometimes. And, well, I don't really feel like doing anything today. I don't really feel like doing that. Or I'm going to catch the new episode of The Walking Dead or something like that. and you catch yourself. You really should be doing that. I know your viewers would love to see you build those new picture frames or that plywood boat. They're starving for your information. And I'm not joking. The podcasts I listen to, the YouTube videos I watch, I starve. I go, when is he coming out with a new one? What's going on?
It's funny because I just did, I don't know if it's the most recent one on YouTube. It's a Troy Built sponsored video about rescuing my blueberry bushes. I made a raised bed. And they paid me to make the video, to feature their product. But I really had to think about it, and then I had to talk to them about crafting a project that they would like. It had to be a very approachable project because they're targeting people that don't have the gardening and lawn care skills, that I have. And I think everything, well, it's just obvious. This is how you do it, But it took 2.5 days to shoot the video and work on it. And then I had to do Instagram posts, Instagram stories, Facebook posts, and provide them with stats and still images and video. It was a lot of what's called social media deliverables there. But I cranked it out because I had a deadline. Yes. And I had somebody emailing me, Aaron, who I've talked about before, not Aaron Shannon, but Aaron at the marketing agency, who's fantastic. And, just making me sure I followed through, and plus they're sending me a check. So I'm like, well, if I want that check, I need to
you have to do that. Yeah. That's the finish line. But see, you had a boss.
Yeah.
See, and it's funny. I tell a lot of business owners, you need to hire an executive assistant, somebody that's going to fill in the gaps where you're weak. and allow you to spend more time with your strengths. Your strengths are doing the videos, the podcast, coming up with the ideas, and there might be weaknesses in there, and that's what holds us back. That's why we go, I don't feel like editing this thing, or I don't feel like doing all the social media. I don't feel like that. Well, you had a boss. You had Aaron going, we really need this. There's a deadline. You have to do it by this date, and you want that check, don't you? You know, and that's what propelled you forward. We don't have that in our life a lot.
I think that's really key what you just said. Fill in the gaps where you are weak.
Yeah.
And that segues into the Garden Fork Patreon program where you could help Eric hire an executive assistant. How's that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That actually made because I actually kind of let on Patreon I have an app for it, and I just kind of type in stuff where I take pictures every other day or so. And that goes out to my monthly supporters who are through the Patreon website. And they get a little bit more behind the scenes, but maybe I could make that part of a goal to reach would be to get a part-time helper, maybe a virtual assistant. My friend Dan Delaney is big on the virtual assistant thing. But yeah, because I always thought I should just be able to do it all. But what you just said is kind of amazing.
Yeah, you're not Superman. No one's Superman. And I promise you, Gary probably has an executive assistant. Gary probably has other people that are keeping tabs on his deliverables and pushing him in certain areas that he needs to be pushed at. Again, he might be superhuman, but I don't think he is. He's got I've been following him ever since his first book. Crush It, and I just love his stuff. He does have a lot of energy, and it's hard to see all these people doing all these great things, but they probably have a lot of help in the background.
All right, well there you go. You just solved everything, Rich.
I try.
I forgot to mention that you have a podcast that people might be interested in.
Yes, I do a podcast every week. It's on iTunes and Spotify. It's called Two Heads. We're brand marketing and strategic coaching for today's marketplace. It's all for small businesses, and we cover topics like, procrastination or how to charge more for your services and other things. We do a weekly one. It usually comes out every Tuesday.
See, I just need to even do that. Well, maybe my executive producer, Jimmy Goots, could help me with this, because Garden Fork, the podcast comes out, it doesn't come out on a set day. It just kind of comes out when I have a show. And maybe he could work with me on that. I'll have to talk to him about that. So.
Absolutely. Well, afterwards, I could tell you all my little secrets, because we had a bumpy start, but then we got into routine. So.
Oh, cool. All right, everyone. Well, if you want to find Rich G on Instagram, just literally type in RichGee, and you will find him there. So it's kind of fun because I remember Rich emailed me, I don't know how many years ago, and I thought it was spam. So I didn't answer him. And now we're like friends. So
Absolutely. Well, I remember I was listening to your podcast and watching your videos, and then I saw that you had a house in Connecticut and you lived in Brooklyn, and I said, he's got to be taking 84 through Connecticut, and I live right next to it. And I said, look, I'll take you out to breakfast. And you said, he could be a serial killer or he could be a fan. I don't know.
Well, I actually will be driving up solo. I just haven't been, whenever I drive up now, I'm with the camera operator and she doesn't really want to stop. But yes. I'll let you know soon. I'm driving up alone and we will stop at that diner. Is that called the Maple Knoll Diner? I always forget the name, but I'll remember it. It's in Southbury, right?
Yeah, the Laurel Diner.
Yes.
Laurel Diner.
Kielbasa, grilled kielbasa and scrambled eggs.
To die for. Their corned beef hash is great too.
And it's like it's not a diner car, but it's a self-contained little diner restaurant, and you park near, you can park right there, and it's just, it's working people going in there for breakfast or lunch. So I love that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Rich. I feel better already.
Eric, always a pleasure.
Garden Fork Radio's executive producer is Jimmy Goots of hollowbooks.com, and our music is licensed from uniquetracks.com.